Yeah, we're live. Okay, welcome to Amber Skies. I'm Blades, your host for the day. Where's this microphone going? Hey, yeah, I'm on me holiday, so I thought I'd pop on and say hello. Oh yeah, what's this says? Notes say here, let's set up C, C++, Windows, Linux and Mac OS. Alright, let's have a look at that then. What do we got? Give me some information, please. Hiya, Lord Cuppo. Good to see you. Happy New Year. And thank you for the message on Discord. Appreciated. I'm still on my holidays, don't worry. I've got another week yet. But I thought I'd pop on. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Same to you too, matey. I thought I'd pop on and show people how to set up their own integrated development environment for programming. How's about that? So, where do we start? Yeah, where do we start? Let's start by downloading the text editor, the focal center of an integrated development environment. This will allow you to program. My choice of editor, because we are doing Windows, Linux and macOS, there are two editors that I can think of, but only one I think really suits individual people's needs. And let's see if we can find it on the internet. Whoa! Wow, that was a big internet. Sorry about that. Ooh, that's a bit better. Let's have a Didio one. I've got weather forecasts. Snow forecast. Oh, there you go then. Hello, snow. I don't know why they would want to visit. I believe we're in lockdown. Anyway, let's go for Microsoft again, because this is uniquely stupid to Microsoft. We're going to go for something called a VS Code. And it's code.visualstudio.com. Here it is. Download for Windows, Linux, and macOS. Yes, it's a Microsoft. This is hilarious. It's a Microsoft program that works on all systems. It comes under .deb and .rpm. No ideas what that means. I know what .deb is. But yeah, just download it. Won't harm you. It's a nice little program, but doesn't work by itself. It's just a text editor. A very fancy text editor. Bada-boom, bada-boom. So we've got Visual Studio Code. Unfortunately, if you are on Windows, you'll have to download the other one as well, which is Visual Studio Community Edition or something. Visual Studio 2022. So you'll also have to download that as well. So that's Visual Studio 2022. And here's Visual Studio Community 2022. Download, getting started, all the rest of it. So this gets, yeah, I've already got it, thanks. Yeah, I know. So that's that bit over with. So we're going to download Visual Studio, and we are going to just find the installer for you. You need to add to it. Remember, code doesn't work by itself. It's just a text editor. So if we're going to program, we're going to need whatever Windows tools we can get. So let me just get up the page you get from downloading. Installer. There we go. Let's just pop the installer up. And this is what you get presented with. What do you want? All I want for the series I'm about to do is desktop development with C++, and that will give me all of the include files and everything I need for C and C++. MSVC, Clang, CMake, MS. I'm not really bothered about that lot, but just make sure that box is ticked. The only reason I've got .NET development is for something else I was looking at. I was looking at some C# rubbish, and it didn't really help me. So you do that, you tick that, and you just download it all. Sorry, Windows, you have to take that extra step. Meanwhile, over on, well, we'll get to that in a minute, won't we? So once you got Visual Studio and Visual Studio Code download, or just open. Alright, so get started with VS Code. Click. Yeah, you get all of this at the start, unfortunately. Blah-de-blah-de-blah-de-blah. Enable that a lot, and next section. There's an editor playground. That's nice. Next section. Side-by-side editing. Yeah, we can do that. Mark done. Okay. Overview. Okay. Boost your productivity. Split editor. Alright. So that's just that bit, isn't it? Help. Documentation is on the internet. And what we're looking for in documentation is C++. Now, you just choose the bit you want. But I'll show you how it should go. I think on macOS you're going to have to use Homebrew or something for this part. Using C++ and WSL in VS Code. Windows subsystem for Linux. That's interesting, because that's not what I'm using. Let's go for GCC on Windows. This is where I always get it wrong, you see. I always look at the wrong part of the manual. And this is important. Windows can run Linux. Bet you never knew that, did you? Linux really can't run Windows. What we're looking for is prerequisites. We have Visual Studio Code. We want the C++ extension for code. You can find that in here, extensions. And if you type in C/C++, it'll come up with it. There we go. C++ extension pack. Click on it. Make sure it's the Microsoft one. And of course I've already got it installed. and it gives you all the debugging and garbage. Better syntax high. Okay, gives you that as well. Lovely, 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 lovely doubly stuff. A few ++ themes and God knows what else. But pop that one in. Anything else we might need? No. Nope. That's just for me. Nope. Okay. Lovely. Right. So that's that done. That's all you need. This does come with its own terminal. And that's Control apostrophe. I just pressed. New terminal. That's Shift plus apostrophe. Current terminal is just ignore the shift. Strange they don't put that there. Ah, it's under this view. Hidden on that menu. Right. Lovely. Can you get rid of that, please? Thank you. Back to this, the important part. On Windows, you wish to click on this MSys2 website. And it'll bring you here. Download the installer. Of course you do that. Enter your desired installer folder. Well, yeah, MSys64 I've got. Setup, blah de blah de blah. And then you're into, oh look, we're into this. This is Linux. This is Arch Linux, which uses Pacman. For Debian it's apt. APT. Instead of Pacman. You don't use these either. I'll show you Pacman, apt in a second. So we go through, and the package that we're looking for, well, they got update. Yeah. Base development and minimum GW Windows 64 x86 _ 64 toolchain. So you just follow these. You type that in, whatever that line says, and there you go. You're done. You can now exit out of this and make sure that it's in your environment. So Windows again. Linux, we'll look more into this on Linux any second now, don't worry. We'll go over to Linux in a second. So environment, variables. So just type in environment on your search thingy here. And environment variables, bottom right. Make sure that your path has wherever you placed it. There it is. It's that one for me. So mine is C:/MSys64 MinGW64 bin binaries. Okay. I've also added something else. Can we come back to this? Yeah, we can. We'll come back to this in a bit. I'll leave that down bottom left somewhere. for the environment. And that's roughly about it for Windows, except for one last thing. I don't use CMake. Never have, never will. It's up to you. If you want to install CMake, go ahead and use it. Me? Nah. I like QMake, which is provided by the Qt company. Oh, you can actually go through all of this and check your installation, create a hello world, and do some pretty things here, just to check things work. And it'll take you through the basics. Don't worry, I've got the basics already sorted out for you. Mostly, anyway. If you want to use Qt. If I click that, it's not going to go do the right thing, is it? Okay, there's no search bar here. Home. So, Qt. Literally, 2 letters. Cute. www.qt.io. I would advise you to download this. Here it is, top right hand side, download try. Open source users. Download the Qt online installer, and do this on Linux as well, and I believe there is an installer for macOS, but I don't know. I don't actually know if there is one. I didn't check. I think there is now, but I know there's instructions somewhere for it. Download and run it, and install. Let's have a look at the Qt installer. Where's the installer? I've got a viewer. I've got a couple of uninstallers. But it's lost the installer. Let me just pop it open and see if I've got it inside. You can use this, by the way, if you want to. I wouldn't, but you can. La, 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 la. Check for updates. It comes with an installer which you run, and it's very, very nice and helps you out. Dead easy to use, but I just wanted to show you. It doesn't really matter which parts you download as long as you just download something. But you can do your C++ in here. No updates found. Oh, great. How do you open the installer? God knows. There it is. Installation folder, select components. Okay. I have read and agreed to the terms and conditions. Yeah. Just none. Who cares about that stuff? Next. I want to show you the bit you need. Help, disable, whatever. Blah blah blah. Custom installation I usually use. Choose a different target for installation. Alright, I will do for a minute. Okay, and here it comes, Qt. All you do is you take the top one and you click on whatever you want. I would choose minimum GW 9, 64-bit is current on this one. Sources I don't need, Qt Quick, additional libraries, ooh, lovely. Oh, well, I'd definitely tick that if you want them all. Shader tools, cool. All bits and pieces you can get. 6.22. If you want WebAssembly, you've got that. If you want MSVC, you've got that. You can actually integrate this into MSVC. That's what you need to download if you want to do integration with Visual Studio 2022. So you need that one there. But anyway, you do that, you press next and just choose what you want. Do you want to quit the installer application? Yeah, I do, because I've got it installed. Thank you. And again, we come back to this environment variables rubbish. In your path, you need to make sure that you have the binary. For me, it's CQT622 min GW underscore 64 slash bin for binaries. That you do need, because we're going to use QMake, and it's in that folder. And that's the only reason I've downloaded it. I have downloaded the rest because I like to use Qt at times. I like playing around with it. Okay, I think that's Windows over with. On Linux, let me just pop over to Linux. I'll use VS Code. Linux is here. If we can get a server. And did I switch the server on? Sorry, puppy. No, I didn't. There's a couple of... You just need GCC, don't you? Oh yeah, and you need Qt, obviously, for QMake. Now, which ones is it? It's finding them that's always a problem for me. Wait, which libraries do you download? Always a good question. Fair. Oh, coffee. That's handy. I can tidy up this as well now. There we go, got a bit more space now. I'm just waiting for a server to come online. It's alright, Poppy. So you just need GCC and Qt for QMake. could just look it up online, I suppose, for depending on which Linux you have or which Mac OS you're on. I think that's usually the easiest way of doing it. Just type in how to install blah de blah. GCC 4C++ on Linux. Debian, Arch. What else is there? Mint. Too many different types. For me, I use Manjaro if I can. But for servers, I use Ubuntu. Always, 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 if possible. For private servers, that is. Maybe public. I don't know. We'll see how it goes later on. Okay, let's open it up. Okay. The server that I'm using is the old Amber Skies network server, and unfortunately it's still got a network card in it. And as it's trying to detect a full network, which no longer exists, it can take a little bit to warm up. There we go. Let's pop that in. Alright, looks good. And I got a terminal. So, for Ubuntu, depending on whatever you're using, type of Linux you're using, if I put in apt search, and it's going to be GCC, probably dev something. Cross GCC dev. Possibly. That doesn't sound too bad. Let's try that one again. Oh, it doesn't like that one, does it? So we've got the libc dev. Which I've got installed. So that's useful. That's the one I've got installed. Linux libc dev. Is there any other? B lib. I'm looking for all the development things. There's the cross-platform one. You see, you can develop anything you want on this stuff. Just looking through pages and pages and pages of development systems on Linux. My God, there's enough to keep you going for a lifetime here. Don't want that one. That gives you the binaries. I don't really want the binaries. You want everything, don't you? See if I can find it for you. If I can't, doesn't matter. Look it up on the internet. If anything, it's probably called the same thing. Okay. I think that's probably the one, but it will be in the VS Code thingies, won't it? Oh, there it is. It's install build essential and GDB. So it is. It's in here under GCC on Linux. You need that, and then you need Qt5 dev. So clear. Now I think it's just Qt5-dev, but don't quote me. Don't just want those bits, we want all of it. Blum, 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 blum. Qt5 default. Could be that one. That's the one I've got installed. Focal updates, focal security, now 5.12.8, sorry. AMD 640 installed, Qt5 development defaults package. Sounds okay. If in doubt. Obviously we can just bump that up on here, see if we can. So how I do is I just put Ubuntu. How to install Qt with, I think it's aptitude. There's a Qt wiki here. Yeah, it's Qt5 default, so we did find it. Pop that one in. Lovely. That's good. I'm getting better at this. So that's Linux. We've got Qt. I mean, if you want to check, you just put in qmake. There you go. Stash file. And if we now list, we find we've now got a load of rubbish here. Thank you, me. And a make file. So it's not, it is working here. Can I just delete though? Anything else we need? Not really. I think we're alright, actually, to get going. So how does QMate work? Well, it works with one of these, a dot profile. I think it's quite nicely the way they've actually done that dot profile. Yeah, it's clever. I use a build sh and an executable. So build sh is just get rid of that. Just change directory to the executable, qmate whatever's in the previous directory, and then you just make. Make comes with the GCC tools. That's handy. So it's a very simple build. Now, for all the rest of the stuff that we might want to talk about, and that's not the program necessarily, is this. On GitHub, just wondering how to do this. We're going to have Avengers, that's AVENGEZ /serverbase. This is on GitHub. This is the Linux stuff, and I've included the VS Code files for once, which will help you out a little bit probably. Anything else? And yet the profiles here as well to help you out, to get you set up. So that's your Linux version. There's also a client base which is on Windows. Now the profiles are different because Windows is a bit more awkward. And this is what I want to look at today, as it makes for a different include type of thing. What I want to do is get rid of this include path and dependency. I'll show you on screen. You can't see that, but it's all there. Do we need the manual? Probably not at the moment. So file open. Let's go back to Windows. About there, I'll do it. There we go. And we're going to put the client up on here. As you can see, there's a client base link. This is still in the master. This is where we're going to start from. This is the code. But this I don't like. In the Qt, this is a bloody mess compared to, yeah. What I want to do is replace that garbage here. So it's this part that changes. Everything else is usually the same, but that part changes. We do need a Qt minus GUI and core, otherwise we get all the Qt files being added to our project. C++11. We can add C11, but C++11 will do the same. But how the profile works is you have a config, which I've set to debug mode. Change that to release if you want to. Config, app bundle, we don't want any of that. We don't want any of that. Include paths, headers, sources. Don't really need the default rules for deployment. Not really. But Qt gave me those. If you're having problems setting up a profile, just run Qt and start your project in Qt and then move over to Visual Studio Code. Once you have it set up, the profile will be done for you. Damn clever. Oh yeah, and it's a build.bat in Windows, of course. In macOS it's still .sh. Any other differences? No, not really. I've been messing around with Doxygen, which is why I got a Doxy file. The source code we're going to use is the research that we did on conversion and UDP network in what I would call the previous series now. Of course, all of this is currently available to the public on GitHub, so you can follow along if you wish. What are we going to do? We are going to create a starter. How can you call it? We're gonna create the base code for a server. Now, we already have quite a lot of that done for us. There are a few changes from our previous code, in which now here. I've added the split down into here, and I've also added this, an Amber data split buffer in common here. What does this mean? It means it's cleaned the code up slightly. So server base now just looks like that. Data incoming, send it over, and if it's got something in the character string, we can just print it out. Pretty simple, really. So if I do that, and we run it, we'll have exactly the same as what we used to have. Okay, it's loaded up all the symbols. There we go. And that's what happens when you run it. Now, what I have also changed is the way we are converting things. We are no longer putting the delimiter after. We're putting it before the data. So we are pre-hashing our data to make sure that we get what we request. And this can be shown by just running the program, I suppose. There was a little flash there, but don't worry about it. So as you can see now, we've got the hash in front. I've got 12345 hash 6 hash 7890. Size equals 14. And then we just come out of the program because we sent something. This was our test program for the client, and our test program for the server prints out the items 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, we are only interested in 1, 2, and 3, the 3 items of data. Item 0 we're not going to be using. So you can see how that all works. Other things we can do with this code editor is look properly into those if statements. So let's have a look at those if statements. I think I've left some notes here in client base. Let's see if it's here. Yes, it is. I'm going to have a look at some disassembly view today. Oh, by the way, the final parts of VS Code that you have to set up, it's in the manual. It's your CPP properties to include things. Your launcher for launching, which does a pre-launch task of building the client. And the pre-launch task of build a client is held in task.json. You'll find that on the internet as well. That all makes this work here. So if I push terminal, run build task, there you go, it'll build. There you go. Where are we? We are on client base. CLS will work. Good. Yes, we can actually use the terminal, folks. Why am I not using Visual Studio Community? Because of I'm going to show something now as a big reason why I don't want to use Visual Studio Community. The following experiment that we did on Visual Studio Community ended up with us getting some very bad code. In fact, the code was a lot slower that it generated. The compiled code slowed down the more we tried to improve our code, which is counterintuitive to how programming should be. I got me delay. Good. Pop it on that line then. So we can put breakpoints in. Doesn't matter if the server's running or not, this is the client. I'm just going to run it. Okay. About there will do. So, the program has paused whilst it's running, and this is where we are. We are on this while loop, the first red dot I placed. I'm going to right click on that and come down to here, open disassembly view. Looks good. This gets in the way. Split right. Just get rid of that. And I'm going to go to full screen. Alright, there are some things I want to look at here that you can't see otherwise. JE. Okay. I just need to know the addresses where it's jumping to. Now, the interesting thing about the disassembler is that our code has been reversed in some way. This is the bottom of the code here. Yeah. As you're about to see. So we can now step over our code and we can watch it in the disassembler as well at the same time. So LEA. So that's going to be one of the special locations on the CPU. And as you can see, it then goes on to move stuff around. It then goes to call something, probably SDL polyvent, I would think. It then goes on to compare, because this is a comparison here. And it then goes to set and test. So there's a test going on. And if it's not equal, it's going to jump to that address 603. Has this put it the right way around for once? No, it can't have done. That'll be a first. Oh, we're on Windows, aren't we? God. So we've got our first jump call there, which you can't avoid because it's a while loop. And then it moves up. So J in 8, blah, 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 goes up to 603. That's correct. So it goes back to the top, which is now the start of our code. Bit weird. It jumps backwards. But there's a reason for it. It's the way that CPUs work. As I've mentioned before, CPUs preload a block of code. So it preloads it and then executes it. And it's probably going to be, as it's a while loop, it would tend to be jumping back up. So the 169F would then get past. Yeah, that gets past it. Right. So here we go. We've got our if statement. It consists of a move, which means move something into memory, moves stuff around from memory to a register on the CPU. We compare, and we jump if not equal to. Of course it jumps. We then move into a register, we then compare, and we jump if not equal to. Next. It doesn't do those ifs, but there they are, JEs. You can see that they're there. Jump if not in move, call, move, add, move, test, jump if equal in this case. Move, call. This is the SDL delay call here. Look at all of these JEs. Every time one of these is hit, the CPU forward looking it loads a page of program commands. Might do a bit more these days. I'm trying to simplify it. Hey, it's Lauren59. Sorry I missed that one. Didn't see you coming through there. Hiya, mate. So the CPU loads up all of these things. Every time it hits one of these JNEs or JMPs, it has to get rid of all of that then it moves to wherever it's jumping to, which gives the address here, and it'll load up the commands from there onwards and then start executing them. And that takes in CPU time forever. It's practically a year in CPU time, because CPUs work in, I suppose, microseconds now, not milliseconds, or even below that, because we're in gigahertz, aren't we? Yeah, very fast. But think about it. What would happen if we could actually take some of these JMPs out? Now, we covered this as an experiment before, so we will try that. Continue to end, so everything gets shut down. All cleaned up, return to operating system. Good stuff. Now, I've spoken about this before. We can rewrite an if statement. So what we're going to do is we're going to take that block of code and we're going to press Control/ and get rid of it. And instead, we're going to look at this piece of code here. So its program is running equals false. So whatever's in those brackets has to equal true to keep the program running. So program is running equals system event type not equal to SDL quit instead of equal to. If that was true, we set our variable to false. If that is true, this will be false, which will set our variable to false. So all we do is we invert our condition, because it's a false, by putting not equal to. Pretty simple. And it's a one line. And we should really, really, really put that down here. Pop it across so we can see it properly. But this, what's going to happen here with these JNEs? Let's find out. Don't worry about that flash. Test JNE 1603. There it is. Move. Compare. Set any. Move. Oh, hold on a minute. Wasn't there a jump here? Let's find out. Call, set, test, jump. Tink. Look at where we are here on the program. Program is running equals that. Still doing it. Set, not equal. That's the not equal sign here. Move the result to program is running. Oh, wait a minute, there was no jump. Hold on a minute, what just happened there? So we went move, compare, set not equal to, move the result to where it's supposed to go, which is program is running. 1, 2, 3, 4 commands. But it's linear. There's no branching. There's none of this jumping around going on. It's suddenly become linear. And that speeds your program up because it doesn't need to do a jump. It doesn't need to flush the CPU cache and reload it with load more instructions. In fact, it will probably reload the same page. But anyway, that's beside the point. I think my coffee's getting cold. But that's what I was trying to show you in Visual Studio 2022. But instead, it didn't. It put 2 jumps in here instead of the 1. This way, it takes it out. GCC works better than Visual Studio 2022. And on that bombshell, I'm going to go and warm up my coffee. Be right back. Give me a couple of minutes. "60 seconds later. Here I am. Hi. And yes, we've proved that we can now take control of our own code. Rather than having that control taken out of our hands by Visual Studio Community, this 2022 thing, which doesn't really do a very good job. The basic reason is quite simple. The wonderful Visual Studio Code, Visual Studio Community Edition, tries its damnedest to help you. So it has a pattern matching system embedded within it, which, if it sees a pattern, it will try and make the assembly code as good as it knows how to. And if it doesn't know how to, it makes something up. I think that's the best way I can say it. So half of your code is basically being made up on the spur of the moment by your IDE. Now we've set up our own IDE, we have our own compiler, and nothing between us and that compiler. No strange system trying to make things optimized or whatever. Now we can optimize our code, and we can do it better than Microsoft. Isn't that ace? And we don't have to make it up. We can do it properly. So what I wanted to show is that that is the same as that. We can prove that by running the program, I suppose. There you go. Has to recompile because we've changed the code. Oops. You're right, it is. Forgot to continue out. Get rid of you. Right. So I've changed our code. Let's run it. It actually might have just... Yeah, it's just done it anyway, because we continued the run. Yeah. That's the basics of what we're trying to do. We want code which is properly written, not guessed at by a machine. And this is why I don't like other languages that aren't based closely to C. Languages which are supposed to make it easier for you actually cock things up for you and create bugs within your program. There is already a bug within the program which I've had to circumnavigate. I had to change the hash from the back to the front. Previously, we were ignoring this by just printing out 0, 1, 2. That 0 would still have was being placed in 3. So we're still getting the same number of items. It was just that we were ignoring it. What I did. Let's have a look. I'll show you. Actually, I'll just do that. It's easier. All I did was I changed that to that. Oops, that. That's all I did. So instead of being less than, it's now less than or equal to. We can now start the index at 1. And we can ignore that first piece of data, as in reverse, if we put the hash after the data, we put that to 0 and we take the equals sign out. We get the same, well, we get different results, but that's irrelevant right now. So we've now got that. What about the rest of this if statement stuff here? People sometimes ask me, when do you know how to make a function? And there's your answer. Right here. You've got if statements. Well, this part we can do. If that is true, then program is running equals false. Hold on a minute. Wait a minute. We can do that like this, can't we? The answer is yes. We can. But we have to prove this in a slightly different way. First of all, we need to find the disassembly code for that. Should we do it? Should we do it? Do you want to do this as an experiment? Should we modify this and see whether it helps or not? Whether we can make our code better than it was? Smooth it out, take out those branches, which are nasty, nasty. Let's have a go. Let's have a go, shall we? First of all, we need to identify where this is in the program. So let's take a look at that. I'll come back to that flash in a sec. Oh, can't. Because there's no event system. Right, we have to take the delay out, don't we? Alright, that was just an experiment. Bloody blum 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 blum. Test results, blah de blah de blah. Okay, we can now remove you. That was for sending data. We can remove that. Remove that and put the proper thing in. Anything else I want to change? Test results doesn't matter. And for now, we won't be sending data. Yeah, we'll have to stop sending data. Otherwise, we're just going to flood my local services with data sendings. And we can get rid of the results as well. There we go. So what I've now created is a full loop that will only escape if the escape key is pressed or SDL quit is used. Shall we have a look at that? What that looks like first? Make sure it's working as intended. Got a warning. There we go. This is a window. There's SDL quit. All cleaned up. We did get a build problem there. Within comment. 160. Oh, right. I'm going to ignore that because it's just me taking code out. And if we run it, and press the escape key, it also quite happily does that. Lovely. Everything's working as intended. But I want to have a look at that. I want to look at this escape key. So I'll just put a pause there. What we'll do is then we can run it. I'm going to press the escape key. Okay, press escape key. Stops the program here. And this is where we are. Move, add, move, test, JE. Jump if equal to. So let's have a bit more of a look at that, I think. Split right. What are we looking at? We're looking at a move. Then we're looking at an add. Then we're looking at a move. Then we're testing. Yeah, it's an if statement. And then we're jumping if equal to. Program is running. LEA, because we did press the escape key to run this piece of code. LEA somewhere else. Move, call, compare, and I think we're just off screen now. So it's just going on with the rest of the stuff, I guess. Yeah, that's within the loop. End of operating system loop. So that'll just go straight past. Yeah, okay, whatever. We're within the loops. But that was the big part. The big point is we've got this JE here. Jump if equal to. So what we're going to do is we're going to replace this code. I think that's the first thing we can do. And we can do it in exactly the same way that we had a look here. So it's going to be something like program is running equals something. And what is it going to equal? It's going to equal a true or a false. So it's an open bracket. Semicolon at the end, I guess. And what do we put in the brackets? This. So if that is true, we want false. So it's not. And then we just press Control that. Yeah. Are we allowed to do it that way? Or do we have to put the not outside the brackets? I think we're allowed to do it that way. It doesn't give me a rundown there. No debug info. Okay. Oh well. Never mind. All right. Now that we've wrecked our program, what happens if we do what we've just done? That. Well, does it do the same thing? Well, we'll find out whether the escape key works now, won't we? Let's first of all check that it works. Okay, program's running, press the escape key, program exits. Exactly the same thing happens. We might be onto something here. Let's have a look at that line. Okay, press escape key. Move LE. Oh, whoa. Set if equal to again. Or set equal. Or set evaluation, I think it means. I can't remember my machine code and assembly language, not much. But now when we step over, that one there, 1603. which is there, which is the beginning of our while loop. But that's now been cleaned up. We've taken a JE out of here. This test is for here. How interesting. So, by using a disassembler, we've already got our program, and this is what I do as a researcher. A lot of my research has gone into how are these programs being compiled and why are they so slow. A lot of people will ask me, I've written this program, it's straightforward, but it's slow. Why? When you look at the program, it's obvious. We can take that out now. Because that's the only code that is needed there. Oh, whoa, this is looking better already. This while loop suddenly got shorter. But we've still got an if statement. That means it's doing multiple things. If you have an if statement, it has to do multiple things to be correct. Really, let's be honest. The last thing is, in the assembly, you may notice that the while bit was put at the end. So while program is running, well, we already know it's running. So let's go with the assembler, cut that out, and put it at the end. It's that line we're following. Alright, it was here. Oops. We were messing our program up, it doesn't matter. We'll have to take all this rubbish out. Okay. So it's while... oh, wait a minute, it's an error. We can't do that. Yes, you can. All we have to do is type in the command do. People often ask me, what should I use? A while loop or a do while loop? Well, now you know how it's being compiled. The compiler will only compile a do while loop. So that's your first thing. But now we've got a problem. Yeah, while program is running. Have I put it in the wrong place? Yes, I have. Semicolon. There we go. STL delay, test results. Do we really need that anymore? This is a client, isn't it? We'll keep it in then. For now. Tests, send. Yeah, if we're sending print test results, I'll put it here. Alright, we'll just pop it there. Like that. Doesn't matter about the delay. Doesn't matter about the coffee. So there we go. We've made a couple of improvements which would have been overlooked if we were programming to the end and not thinking about it. Do we still need that? Do we need this if statement at all? There's an interesting idea. I'm trying to think forward to what the end product would look like, and the end product would say it's probably better to use an if statement here. As I don't want to do too much optimization or concentrate too much on optimization in this system. This is the client. We'll only be messing around and putting test stuff in the client anyway. But at least we understand that that's an if statement. It's exactly the same result as an if statement. All we're doing is asking the processor, is this true or false? Or what is this value? And then which is actually a true or false for the scan codes. And that's just how SDL works. The key is either down, true, or up, false. And if we reverse it, yeah. We could reverse the program is running. No, that would be stupid. But you can see now that that's a do while. What about this middle bit here? Can that be a do while? Shall we have a look at that, just for interest? Because it's only day one, we're only setting stuff up. You've got the code if you want it, and if you don't know where it is, ask me, and I'll pop it in chat. I don't want to break out. Can we just continue? Cool. The reason I don't want to break out is because we do a cleanup of resources at the end. Breaking out can get a bit messy, so try not to do those. There we go. Yeah, we can. But what would be the problems? A semicolon. And a do. Problem is, the first time we go through this, we don't have system event. What's SDL true? It's an enum. Type def enum. They're not real values. Oh, that's okay then. What we care about then is what does this give? It gives an int, so that's an I32. Actually, no, we can cut it. So the first thing we need is to do the poll. That has to remain the same. But now we can have an I32. We'll think of a word in a minute. That's correct. But not quite what I want. And it's going to be SDL underscore true. Ah, it's there. Found it. I'm just putting H in because it's just the first key I pressed on the keyboard. There we go. So we need something that means something. I don't think I need that. That's better. So, operating system events. So we would put, operating system has events Yeah, I like that one. Problem is, don't use capitals. And then we just that. Yeah. That. And that. While Opsys has events. We do start this out with something. So I would advise that. Yeah. Does that make sense? Opsys has do the poll. That gives us our system events. That will give us our, whether our program is running or not, whether the window is running or not, actually. That is whether the windows are running or not. That's just a true or false, because I'm using a Windows system. SDL key down, blah-de-blah-de-blah. Program is running. Yeah, okay. And while the opposite. Right, let's see if that works. Make sure we're not sending data. Make sure we're not printing test results. Otherwise it's just going to spam. Make sure we're not auto-ending. Alright, so we've taken out basically all of our test code there. Doesn't matter about the information. It's irrelevant. Yeah. Let's see if a do while Opsys has events. It changes it all around, and it means you can now write in a little bit more English, I suppose. I don't know. Let's find out. If we run it, we'll get a window. Close it that way. No problem. Escape key. No problem. Yeah, it works. Pretty simplistic, huh? But look at how our code has changed. Does it make sense? A lot of people will do this as well. Especially on that first do. That. May as well do it on this one as well. These events, by the way, interrupt events, stored by the operating system as things happen with things like your keyboard, your mouse, things like that. So we can actually look at the keyboard, we can look at the mouse. If you've got a pen tablet, you can look at the pen tablet. If you've got a camera operation or something, you can look at that. Do a lot of things, really. You'll see quite a few people doing that. Just to make sure you can see at the start of your do loop what the parameter is. Because these do loops can get pretty darn long. This one can get very, very long. We're not careful. But it all works. It all works nicely. We've got plenty of test data, so we can mess around with that. It's this first code that we're going to be messing around with first, and that's going to be going into service requests. Now, at the end of the last session, we did do a whiteboard. I've now got that copied out to here. We will be looking at that. I'm using Libreoffice, which is the free version of Microsoft Office, and works better. What's wrong with this? Add to dictionary. It doesn't know EG. Oh, it's E.G. There you go. So these are the bits and pieces that we have decided upon. And it's this table of service codes that we really want to be looking at in the next part, I guess. Is there anybody need any help with anything on this lot? Oh yes, and we are going to be changing our GitHub and update that with all today's information. So let's do that before I talk about anything on there. I'm on the client side, and what we're going to call this is research. Okay, here we go. Commit, changes, blah, 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 branch. Create branch. Branch name, research. And we'll just hit return. There we go. And this was looking, this was setup, and the So it was setup and the use of if statements. Do while versus while loops. Which one's correct? Neither. Doesn't matter. But the use of if statements worked beautifully for once. So I'm going to pop that up for you. If you want the code, it's there now. On the server side, what changes have we made? Okay, we corrected that. I've removed that. So this is just to tidy up. There's nothing to... So this was set up and clean up. Yeah. Minor code changes. Yeah, we can do it that way, can't we? But again, we're on master. Branch. Create branch. Again, we're going to call it research. Because it's a different repository. And our message will be setup and minor changes. That'll do. So bits and pieces that I haven't talked about yet. Hold on a minute, we had a window on our client. Yeah, we do. We have a window on our client. How was that done? Pretty easily. If we look at our common, I added window title, window width. No, I'm not going to change it now. 900 by 500. Everything else is the same. That's all I've added. 3 defines. And then in our client base, we just added SDL window, star window, memory address for our window, and we just put window equals, blah de blah. I could put SDL star window equals, I suppose. Put it all on one command. Probably the usual way of doing it, because that's what we've done here. Still got our same ports, but I've added IP address for same machine, and we will be eventually replacing this with argv1, which comes in here from the command line. So the command line will be something like client base and then an address, an IP address in that kind of format. We'll see about that later on, I think. But yep, that's how you set up a window. You just ask SDL to create a window, and if you notice at the bottom, I've specified that I want an OpenGL window. So that is a 3D OpenGL window we have there. Yeah, we might do some OpenGL, but not a lot, because we've already covered it mostly. Although I do need to think about the rendering, because we're going to include Dear I'm GUI will be covered. The manual, if you're interested, is HTML or whatever. So if I go to HTML, reveal in File Explorer, I want index, don't I? Menu, index, there is. So we now have an index. So client-based CCP, you can actually see the whole of the program at work there in a visual format. I use this to look at the arrows. For instance, there is a triangle there, so I know that triangle is not required. I know that if I include, well, if I go from there to there, that will take me to there. So this one is not needed. So conversion.h, for instance, if you go, this is what I use it for actually. So you go to here, at the top, this line here is not needed, or should not be needed. Try out. There you go. It's not needed. Why is it there? Because I put it there. Why did I put it there? To remind me that I was using it. So at this stage, I do not do that. I will leave it in, and I will do my remove includes later on, as I'm trying to streamline the operation a little bit more so we can handle it better. Have to be aware of that kind of thing, because we are using it. We are using the conversion. Or are we? Yes, we are. Here. Amber data add integer is in the conversion file. And that brings me back to the last part of today, which is going to be interesting if it works or not. That's really the last part today now. We'll go on to the next bit of today. What are we on? Yeah, we're at 3:30 now. I do have to be careful. How the heck do you know where that is? In which file am I supposed to find that? Well, one of the answers is that. I prefer the peaks. Like that. You could do that. Or you can tell yourself where it is. Remember when I said we're going to have these in CPP files, although we're writing in C? Well, there's a couple of things in C that I do like. Sorry, C++. There's a few things in C++ that I do like, and one of those ideas is namespaces. C doesn't have them. C++ does. What we could do is namespace these to tell ourselves which file they're in. How do you do that? Well, that's in the conversions. See, well, we'll go here first. So what I can actually do here is relax a second and think about it. It's data conversion, isn't it? you have to set yourself a naming convention. Don't just make something random up. Make sure what you see on the page relates to something else. So this is in the data directory under the conversion file, or inside the conversion file. So I would probably call this space data conversion. Why? So we know where things are. But there's also another problem with what we've got in front of us. This is in global space. Our main is in global space. This is in global space. And as we include more libraries, they're all in global space as well. And we don't know what they've called their things. Some of them do use namespacing, thank God. The standard library does. It uses std : and it's got nothing to do with sex. It's standard library, std for standard. Honest. You might have noticed I haven't been using that, but hey ho. So this will take it out of global space and secure it off into a namespace of its own. So watch what happens. We put in something like namespace, I think. Should be good. Yeah, we got it. Got C++. We'll call it data. It's a namespace. Do we capitalize it? Yes, we do. Data underscore conversion. Hit return, and everything within a namespace goes in one of these brackety things. Now, to make things easier on ourselves, we're going to do something else as well. Alt-Shift. If I hold down, if I click here in front of void, Alt-Shift, drag to there, hit the tab button, we'll do that. Alright. Now we also have to namespace, obviously, not just the header file, but the conversion file. Awkward. It goes here. And then we go all the way to the bottom, and it finishes there. Control Shift, and drag. And that adds an extra level of security to your functions, taking them out of global space and putting them into something called data conversion space. Now this means we've now got errors here, obviously. So what we're going to have is data, wait a minute, space. Might as well do it this way, it's easier. Shift, data, conversion, there it is. And then it's colon, colon. And you can see that it came up straight away. And all we need to do to use it is place that in front of it. I think that's all it alters. So I know now that that Amber data add integer is in data conversion. So if I go to data conversion, I can easily find it. It also means it's securely placed within its own namespace. I think that's the best way of putting it. In its own space, not global space where other things could mix in and accidentally corrupt your functions. Bit of added security. A little bit of interesting stuff that you can do with C++, and blooming useful. And I mean it. Anything else I want to change here? SDL delay, that's in global space, but I've got no control over that. There we go. Now you know why I write downwards and not across. That's another reason for it. Plus, we can namespace this one. I'm going to rename that. Yeah. That makes so much more sense. And we can now namespace it a lot easier as network underscore what we called Amber UDP. We can pop everything in here. It might be what you might call a minor change, but it has a major impact over everything that we're about to do. So yeah, this is going to be interesting. Alt Shift, get it here first. Just tab you across. That looks good. And can do the CPP file now. Oh, that's going to be interesting. No, that's okay. None of them are used externally. It's not used externally, so those should all be static, I'm guessing. Okay. Make sure nothing's been missed. We're okay. We're looking good. Right, that's okay then. Base client isn't changed. Everything looks good there. Right. Keep that open. So namespacing has now been added. And this becomes a bigger factor later on. Yeah, we're deleting U2 and we are adding U2. Good. That worked. So, name. Namespace is added. I think that'll do. We're on research, aren't we? Yeah. There you go. That's namespaced. And let's do the other one. Ouch. That hurt my eyes. I'm not using that one. I'm using Amber Skies. Duh. And on this side I am using Qt projects, because this is a Qt project. Source. Overwrite. There we go. And if we now look in here, you can see our namespacing has come up. Our network has been renamed. We still have UDP network. Which we're going to remove. Good. That acts the same. We have missed something out. No, we haven't. No, we haven't. That's good news. Alright, we do need to alter our code now to reflect that. Can we have errors, please? Yes, I have made an error. Here. Or have I? Yeah, I've made a mistake. Even though it's being picked up correctly, it shouldn't be there. That's now network. That's now network. It was using the old to compile. That's now network. Pathings are the same. Happy. headers and Pro updated. Updated, done. This is how careful you've got to be, unfortunately. So just remove those, that's Pro, goes to network. To network. And I need to check on Windows whether it's actually deleted the files or not. I know this reads the directory properly. Alright. No, we're fine. We are fine. That's good news. Over here, though, we're not so fine. So we should now have the errors. Oh, AmberNet in it. Did that not come up? That should be that. Because we are going to have a network Amber TCP as well. We're using UDP at the moment, Universal. Alright. Damn you. I'll leave that for a second whilst I find them in here. So now, I need it to work correctly for both sides, which is why I was initially thinking of doing this as a library. Because it is really, it's just that I can pass it over, pass it backwards and forwards how I like. It's quite easy for me to do so. Okay, there is another mistake. Okay, you now exist. And another mistake I've made. Good. Why aren't they showing us errors? Because we deleted them out. For instance, this one here. There we go. Done. Any more that are hidden? We haven't even cleaned it up. Wonder why that happened. So we even had a mistake in here. Network. And you'll see now how it works. You see, it just brings up all the things that we're allowed to use in here. There we go. That should have been there, because we have started it up. So we weren't closing it down properly. Oh right, we weren't initializing it. Yes we were. Here. If you've got an initializer, you should have a destroyer. Yeah. That's better. Fantastic. Corrections due to corrections for name spaced functions. That'll do it. I think that's all we need. Did do that one. I think that's the only one that's used. Yeah, I'm okay. I think I've checked as much as I can. If you see anything else, then let me know. And that's how bugs arise. Changing something like a name spacing isn't so easy, which is why I'm doing it now. So it's something we can continue to do in the future and will help us find things. Some people say that, well, doesn't that make it look more messy? Well, no, it's telling you where it is. That's the whole purpose of that, because I don't always have that lot open. In fact, I hardly ever do. Okay. Namespace changes. I'll do. And that's now available for you. Now, should you want to run this on your Windows machine, just compare it to the Windows client. And you'll see all you have to do really is change a simple part like this here. It's exactly the same, as long as you've got that executable thingy here. But it's not quite, because you have to change the bat and launch, because the program is placed on that line there. Now, if you open executable here, it's there. If you open executable here, Microsoft being Microsoft helps you out and puts a debug in, so it's here. So under launch, you've got debug, which you have to change to release when you want to check the release version. If you ever want to check the release version, because I never will be doing. I just find that erg. It does it automatically. It's a Microsoft thing, a Windows thing. Windows just likes to catch me out. It nearly did on that one, I can tell you. Okay, I think we're alright with everything now. where did it go? I clicked on that, didn't I? Network. That's what I wanted to check there. Cool. Okay. Is that one? Control backslash and run. Oh, that doesn't matter anymore, does it? Huh. Just realised. It's an unused variable because I couldn't be bothered. I could just do that. And it's working fine. Good. We are very close to what can only be called a successful day. We've been looking at if statements, which I haven't been doing on the server side. There's one here. There's one here. As you can see, it says remove, so I'm not bothered about it. And yeah, until we have a shutdown service, and this is where what we need to be thinking about next is services. And that brings me back to this part. Thank you. So, table of service codes. I've decided to use integers. It says 0 is a shutdown, but 0 is an error code. As you noticed, I'm now using hash code, hash ID, hash data to whatever you want. So hash then integer. We're going to change this from a 0 to a 1. Why it did that, I don't know. Thank you. And that gets now placed to a 2. So we've got 256's join, leave, update. We are going to implement a chat server. I think that's what we want to do first. But we first of all also need that shutdown. So we can shut the server down. And we can actually go into a program loop there. So that's what that's all about. So once we have this shut down here, then we can start a full program loop for our server. A very, very gentle introduction is going to be used. It's going to be very, very simple programming. We're not going to do anything silly, but I do need to know something. And is it on here? Here we go. C programming language. Reserved words. We do have switch. So this is So what you do is you switch on... What does switch return? And where is it? Scalar, blah. Actually, that was a bad idea. Where is it, first of all? Which header file? ST, it's normal. Oh, right. Cool. And we're just going to use the normal variation of it, I think. So it's in standard I/O. Doesn't make sense. Don't think it is, you know. Oh no, it's not. It's the standard C. La 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 la. So no, it is that reference. Okay. This is the reference in here. So that is your reference point. God, I hate these references like this. I mean, is that really useful? Or is it just overly complex for some reason? I want to know what this is. So if we switch on true, what is that? Int n days equals switch month. You can have an output. If blah 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 29, if blah 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 blah, yeah, da 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 da, yield. We can use a yield. Which ones are in the language? Is yield in here? I am trying to keep as much as I can to C. I like the way that that doesn't have a thing, and that does. Weird. So member selection is the arrow. And I don't know where they're getting yield from. Fair enough. Fine. You know what that means, don't you? It's experimentation time. Okay, that's done. That's why I like having that kind of thing available to me. It saves me a lot of trouble. Switch statements. I'm just going to put that in for starters. Where's your semicolons? Never damn well remember where the semicolons go on this one. There's no semicolon at the start, there's a semicolon at the end. And after each case, but it can be spaced. And there's a... interesting. I hate it doing it that way. That's a semicolon. That's where it actually ends. But there's nothing here about it. Because it's part of the language. Optimized implementation may execute much faster than the alternative because it is often implemented by using an index branch table. Which is the reason why you would want to use it. On a single character's value, if correctly implemented, is vastly more efficient than the alternative, reducing instruction path lengths considerably. That's not necessarily better. Instruction path lengths can be anything easily up to a page, but I think they're thinking of other things. When implemented as such, a switch statement essentially becomes a perfect hash. Yes, correct. In terms of the control flow graph, Okay. A switch statement consists of two nodes, entrance and exit, plus one edge between them for each option. Yes. This is in place of if else. It has an additional node on the if else for every cause other than the first and last. Yes, it does. Together with the corresponding edge, correct. So ifs thus have many more nodes. This is correct. But what does it look like in assembler? I'm more interested in that you can get a result out of it. Is that a const char star? Char star month. I like this idea. Month. Equals. Let's go with September for a minute. Expected an expression. That's what I thought. That's why I don't like these examples that they put in here. That's multi-switching. That's not how I would normally do it, because I would use case colon. That's interesting. I don't like it, but it's interesting. I'm not sure how I would actually write it, so I'll probably write it as switch open brackets. The expression would be that. But it would have to be a specific index. We chose 1. Expression must have integral or enum type. It's that one. That's that one. Where the hell do the semicolons go? They don't. And we've got this. And the way I would normally do it is something like case but you're not liking that. There we go. So yeah, we're looking at something like this, aren't we? So case 1 would be that. And there's your shutdown service. That is literally your shutdown service. Would that work? Does that build? Is it as simple as that? All right. What do we have to get rid of? Defaults. Is that? My God, I'm doing some programming and I shouldn't be doing today. This is where I need to get my linings going. Lining, just lining things up. That looks horrible. So shut down requested. It doesn't do it on this one. These aren't highlighting. There we go, the highlighting now properly, thank you. Otherwise I get the slash the wrong way around. And that can be embarrassing. According to me, that's what should be done. Act on which service? So, theoretically, that should work forever. Okay. I wasn't exactly wanting that printf there, but that's nothing to do with it. Oh, right, you're talking about fall through. That's what I was checking for. Interesting. What I'm checking for is if we get all information or not. Alright, we'll try it out with this data and see what happens. Where is it? Ah, it's here. Let's try sending whatever we've got here. Okay, do we get a result? We do, and it continues. Ooh. But if we request a 1, okay. That's what I was expecting. It fell through. Which is fine. What that warning is about break. So that warning was telling us that this, although it isn't part of the case, is still going to happen. So what it's looking for here is break. And that gets rid of the warning. Now it will not drop through. that will send it past your default and back onto the main line, which is here. It'll send it to there. That means jump to here. That's interesting, isn't it? So we can now have this completely running until we send it the number 1. Or #1. Wow. That just shows how easy this is to do. And that's how easy it is to program a server. Now, do I want all of that garbage here? So that was our code. We now have an ID. I think that gives us an idea of what we can do quite easily. So we can do case 1, 256, 257, 512. And develop them individually. But how would we word it? I mean, we've got to put this into English somehow, haven't we? I mean, switch, case. Yeah, okay. That's a bit dodgy. We could set this up in a totally different file. Remember, everything that we put in this, we want to duplicate in the client. Shut down client. Doesn't duplicate. Join client. Doesn't duplicate. Leave client. Does, but with different effects. Sort of does, but it doesn't. So maybe our services aren't quite what they should be, and that's what we need to think about, the service side of things. So what we could create is something like a service manager. And that can do all of this rubbish. I think that would be better. What do you mean, no, Poppy? Yes, it would. It'd be a lot better. But we have to think as the client as well. So join server, leave server, update we do need for server and client. Chat we do need for server and client. Join leave. We could use that differently on the client. But we wouldn't, would we? That would be join chat, leave chat. And that then starts getting complicated, and I don't want complicated right now. So we're not going to do it that way. What we really need is that, all of this here to here, putting into a service manager. So if we put this into a service manager, and then develop each service separately. Ooh. That's bad. I spelled that wrong, haven't I? Pa. I knew there was something wrong with it. Okay. That's the other thing I like about this. I can use it as a dictionary. Don't have to keep opening up web pages for it. I think I'm up for that. Yeah, I think that's where we start. So, in the meantime, I'm going to let people watch this video and see what they think. And then we'll open up like questions. Well, when I get on next, well, I'll start doing this service manager thingy once I've thought more about the services to offer. I mean, these were just off the top of my head on the spur of the moment, but we'll see. I think the only thing we'll offer to start off with is the shutdown, and we'll get that fully working, and we'll develop a client for testing all of this. Yeah, we can start developing the client a little bit more alongside it at the same time. Because that's very easy for me to do, because we've got all the code for the client. Well, most of it anyway. It's on Fraser Sharp YouTube. Playlists. Most of it will be in Amber Rogue version 1.0 alpha, which is what I'll be using. I'll be using the code from that. So we're more likely to be using this kind of thing. So this is from New Year 20. So this was a year ago. I was just doing some basic combat setup and I realised we need a server. Yeah. Alright, get rid of that. Excellent. Should work out quite well. I'm going to keep that open because I want to have a look at that again. I'll keep that open a minute or two. Are we all happy with this? Do I need to change this? Yeah. So this is first impression of a service manager. I'll pop that up onto the code base for you. There you go. There he goes. So you'll find all of this up on GitHub. Avengers/server base. And it's not looking too bad, so that's got the switch statement in it now. Go to research. Might help. So you may have to look under the research tab. There's the switch statement there. Need to clean this top part up. But it is correct. We should be able to clean it all up very, very soon into a proper program loop. So this, once we get a service manager, that part will just clean up to nothing. I just put notes in for you, that's all. I just put a load of notes in, as much as I could think of, to help anybody out that wants to look at it. So that's why there's a lot of green writing everywhere. Because I've even, data incoming, split buffer, described it there for you, so you don't have to keep looking it up, type of thing. Yeah, I'm okay with that. Okay. Sudo shut down. Yes, I have to tell my server to shut down. You see? That's what I mean. There are shutdown protocols to be had. Try that one. Yep, that worked. Thank you. You're done. There we go. Discarded those changes so we're all starting in the right place. Lovely. So what is on the internet under client base, Avengers client base. Hope he doesn't mind me using it, but hey ho. We'll do that. Yeah. So the next part will be services. Yes. Okay, in the meantime, I'm guessing I start again next Sunday, don't I? Yeah, so I'll catch you Sunday. How about that? If not before, I doubt it will be before. But I'll catch you on Sunday. Take care and have fun.